I'm Keith Donner, Village Administrator. Want to welcome everybody to this celebration of a huge event for the Village of Weston. We're ready to kick off the construction of our new municipal center. Replacing, of course, our complex over on 5500 Schofield Avenue, where we've been located since 1956, going back to the days of the town of Weston. And since that time, of course, we've grown from under 3,000 people to now over 15,000. So up to this point, expansions on that facility have been adequate to serve our needs. And of course, we've added a lot of outbuildings, a lot of detached garages and things. But the reason we're here today, of course, is because we've outgrown that facility and it's time for us to have a new home. So, as you all can probably imagine, a project like this does not happen overnight. Planning on this facility began back in 2016, and there's been numerous meetings that our Board of Trustees and a building committee have participated in as we talked about what we needed, and ultimately this past year in October, our village board elected or decided to create an ad hoc building committee to evaluate where we were at the project. We were at a stage of preliminary design and approaching a point where we would want to go to bid. So an ad hoc building was created, and that committee met 7 times between October and December of 2020. So that proved to be a pretty intense effort. And ultimately the committee recommended that the board proceed with this project. And the board in turn elected to take it to bid. And bids were opened in February. And we awarded a contract to Myron Construction in April of this year. And of course that brings us to today, where we are kicking off the start of this project. So at this point, I would like to introduce Mort McBain, who is the chair of our building committee. Mort is probably many of you know, served for many years as the Meriton County Administrator, and proved to be invaluable in terms of his service on that ad hoc committee. And we really appreciate what he and the rest of the committee members accomplished. So I would, at this point, like to turn it over to Mort so he can share some of his perspectives on the project.
Thank you, Keith. I spent a lot of time, well, not a whole lot of time, thinking about what I could say that would actually sound half intelligent. And I've concluded that the best thing I could say at this point in the project is to just offer my thanks to Keith and Mark for the opportunity to serve the village. I came here when the village was a town quite a few years ago, and I've always lived here, and I've loved this community. I helped when we became a village. I was involved in that process. Remember the village people? Some of you. I got involved in that, and I've always been a supporter of the village. And I appreciate the chance to get involved in this major project for the village. And I just want to speak just a word or two about the politics. I can't help it. That's who I am. Although I've not really been much of an elected official, I've pretty much worked for the government most of my career. And you don't get an opportunity to get involved in a project like this very often. I've had my share of projects. This project is a little bit different. There was some opposition to this project, and there always has been opposition. There still is opposition. But I would say to that, if you think there's a lot of opposition to building a municipal facility, try building a jail sometime. Then you'll learn what opposition is. Even a 911 system had a lot of opposition. Just one story, if you'll indulge me. Many years ago, we decided we needed to have a 911 emergency call system for the whole county. At that time, Weston was a town, and they were the only ones that had a basic 911 system where you could pick up the phone, dial 911, and it would get you right into the police station. And that's all it did. We decided we wanted to have a whole county-wide 911 system, so we started to sell this project. We used to go to the Towns Association. Some of you have been out to those. We were a member of the Towns Association. We'd go and we'd talk about this 911 project, how it could save lives and it could help people. And the fire chiefs would always say, you know, we really don't need this system. I remember one meeting we went to where the fire chiefs were just absolutely opposed to putting a 911 system. And it took me a long time to figure out why they were opposed to it. Their reason that they said was that, well, we know everybody in town, we know where people live, we don't need a 911 system to identify. We know where everybody lives. And after that meeting, the clerk came up to me, the town clerk, and she said, you wouldn't believe what happened last week. These guys went to the wrong place. It was a disaster. And I realized that these guys were opposed to the project because they didn't want to give up control. And so that brings me to another topic, a referendum. We had some discussion here. Should we have a referendum on this? Well, I've got some experience with referendums, and I said to them, I don't think it's a good idea. In my opinion, there's only two reasons to have a referendum. One is that, well, you have no choice. By law, you have to have it, so you have a referendum. The other reason is, and this is something that's a little bit more complex, but the only reason you would want to have a referendum is if you genuinely don't know what to do. And you want to turn to the people and ask them. But the problem with that is if you don't know what to do, why would you go to the citizens and ask them what you should do? They don't know any more than you do. So I've concluded that referendums are really not a very good way of leadership. Our elected board, our village board, are elected to represent the people. And that includes making tough decisions. And this was a tough decision because there's always opposition to these kinds of projects. But that should not stop you from moving forward with your project. If you know you're doing the right thing for the village and we need this and it's going to serve us for the next 30 or 40 or 50 years, then you should go ahead and just do it. Regardless of the opposition. There will always be opposition. There will always be naysaying. There will always be those who criticize us. There will always be those who complain about their taxes. Always. But that's not a reason to stop a project like this. So again, I would just offer my thanks to our village board for having the courage to move forward with this project because it's needed. It's over needed. It's been needed for a long time. And we have a board that's finally moved forward, and they were smart about it. We put a citizens committee, so-called, to evaluate this. It gives them a little cover, and that's okay. It also gave them some evaluation from a kind of neutral perspective as to this project. And that's how you do things. And that's how you have to do things in politics. Politics, as Churchill once said, was the art of compromise. And this was sort of a compromise, not a big compromise, but it was enough of a compromise to get it done. We made some adjustments and changes to the final designs so that people could at least see that we looked at it in depth and we fine-tuned it to give us just exactly what we need and no more. And so it's a very good project, I think. It's been well researched. We have a great architect We have a very experienced contractor building this facility. So I think we're off to a great start. So once again, thank you for the privilege of being involved in this. I think we're going places in this village, and I'm glad to be part of this village. And I'm glad to be part of this project. It's a great project. I think we've got great things ahead in our future. And so thank you for the opportunity to be involved.
Thank you very much, Mort. Those were very kind words. Yes, it was quite a process we went through. And, of course, it can't happen without the support of the village board. And I guess this time I will invite President Mark Maloney to say a few words.
Well, hello everybody. I should have known better to follow Mort. I should have went first. But I stand here with the other 6 trustees on behalf of the village, on behalf of the past town of Weston, all the past residents, committees, commissions, all the elected officials, the present, and for all the future. So it was a beautiful building, as you can see, well designed. As Mort said, it was quite a controversy, but I think the election spoke hugely on which direction we're going to go here. So I'm very glad to also be very part of this. I know the rest of the trustees are also. Along with Mort tonight, Dwayne Gow, the vice chair of the building committee, is here also with us tonight. So thank you, Dwayne, and to the rest of that committee. But congratulations to the village of Weston and to the future. And this building is going to serve us for 50, 60, 70 years, and it's going to serve us well. So thank you all very much. Thanks for coming. I hear there's cookies, and we'll see what else. Thank you.
So I suppose you don't want me to embarrass all the members of the Board of Trustees by recognizing each of you individually. First, Mark Maloney, our village president. To his right, my left, Wu Shang Zagami, Lauren White, Barb Ermeling, in the standing room only area, Trustee Yi Leng Zhang and Nate Feeney. And unable to be with us tonight, I understand, would be Trustee Steve Minell. But thank you, trustees, for all your support on this project. And it is certainly, we talked about the fact that this will be what we would call a legacy project, something that's going to last for many years, for generations, in fact, similar to what the current place did. But again, it's outlived its useful life. And again, we couldn't have gotten here without a lot of help. As Mort mentioned, we have a great team, community architects today represented by Lee Anderson, on behalf of John Wallenkamp, Myron Construction and their team, represented Jack Kilgore and Jay. Pronounce that last name for me, would you?
Yeah, Zerniak.
Zerniak, okay. So thank you for putting things together here today. Also have the chamber, the Waus Area Chamber is represented by their ambassadors and Brian Otten. So I know that the next thing that happens here is we have to orchestrate some kind of shovel turning. So I don't know if Brian, you can help me out with that.
Sure.